I get it.
Mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's that? Nsila ID soto.
That's sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbale.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe ko.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi topoto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo nga fa kendol sotale di.
Wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Baraka.
Of owning your dream homes, EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But
don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Welcome to the brunch on Kerr Fatou after a week's absence because of the Korite festivities. Welcome back wherever you are watching us from, and this is our weekly current affairs program. I'm Lamin Cham, welcoming you once again. Now, this week we bring you all what you need to know from the OIC, that is the Organization for Islamic Conference, which summit will be held in Banjul. Now, the summit involves a lot of issues that is different just from a conference. We will visit Petroleum House, where they are based, and talked to the Director of Communications, the Head of Communications and Branding. We'll also catch up with the peace ambassadors who are 20 years old today. The National Youth Parliamentarians will be in the studio. We will explore their latest activities which is bordering on road safety. We will have together with them the Commissioner for Traffic in the Gambia, Lamin King Colley. All this on the menu this afternoon. Welcome. Now, like I said, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, is the second largest intergovernmental gathering of states in the world. The 15th summit of the heads of states and rulers of this organization would be held in the Gambia in 2022. Now, an OIC secretariat has been established in the Gambia over the last couple of years, tasked to implement the programs leading to that summit. And among the programs includes key projects such as construction of roads, including, of course, building a 5-star hotel and conference facilities. But with just months to go, or if you like a year or so, how far are the preparations and how tangible is it really for the Gambia to host the summits? Well, at this stage, I welcome to the studio Mfali Fadera. Like I said, he heads communications and branding. Mfali, welcome to the brunch.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. Thanks for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here. First of all, before I delve further into the conversation, I would like to express appreciation to the entire staff of Kerr Fatou for the hospitality, the warm hospitality, I must add, that I was accorded since my arrival. I got the rare privilege of having tea and croissant here.
The brunch, that is.
Absolutely.
You have the brunch in the right sense.
It's truly brunch. So, just to say thanks to Fatou and the team.
Thank you.
And to you too for having me, and to the viewers, thanks for joining us.
Good. Okay, let's go to first questions first. I mean, like I said, the OIC Gambia Secretariat.
Right.
Let's start by it. It was set up here over the last 3 years or so to implement the projects or all the issues surrounding the Gambia's preparations to host this summit, the 15th Heads of State or Rulers Conference of this organization.
Right.
Let's go back now. How have the OIC discharged these functions since your inception? Then we go to the task lying ahead that people are still asking questions about. How had it been for the OIC? Like,
thank you.
When it started, we had that the initial head of the organization and a few others have resigned, and then a new head and a few others have been appointed, including yourself.
Absolutely.
Come back to so how have the secretariat
gone? Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. That's a very important question. As you rightly said in your preamble and introduction, the Gambia is expecting to host 57 heads of state and governments around the world in 2022. So
which month exactly?
The month is yet to be communicated. Yes, but in due course, the Secretariat will communicate that month. Okay. But like you said, so we are expecting to host several heads of state, and it's also the largest intergovernmental gathering after the United Nations. So in order to prepare the country for that global summit, the governor of the Gambia set up my office, which is the Gambia OIC Secretariat, and our mandate is quite simple. Well, not so simple, but you can look at it from two angles. The first angle is to mobilize resources and implement projects in order to prepare the country because there are some infrastructure requirements to the summit hosting. So our office is responsible for that. And number two, we are also responsible for the event organizing and planning itself, that is to organize the summit itself. So that is why in our structures, in addition to the secretariat, we also have a local organizing committee. And this local organizing committee is more or less like the event management and planning committee. So, like I said, our mandate number one is to mobilize resources and implement projects. That is what most people are more familiar with. I think it's because of the magnitude of the projects that we implement and how important they are to our socio-economic progress as a country.
Good.
So the resource mobilization aspect is obviously what we have to start with. We are a small and poor country, so if we are taxed with hosting an event of this magnitude, we at least need to put in place some infrastructure that can ensure a hitch-free event. So that is why the first 2 years to 3 years of the organization's existence was dedicated to mobilizing resources. Contrary to what many people think.
How far have you gone in this resource mobilization?
Absolutely. In fact, I was even going to mention that the resource mobilization is a huge success, I'm glad to say.
How much money have you raised then?
We've raised over $100 million. Dollars. Yes.
So that's about, in today's, if exchange rate, you are talking about close to 66, what would I say? Well,
about over 50.
About how?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
600 million.
Yes, it's a lot of money. So this is one component of our mandate that most people miss. So when people talk about the OIC, they think money is available. It is lying down somewhere. It's just to go grab it and then go on with this project.
We'll come to that now.
So, but that is not the case. So that is why, if I'm just trying to give a greater appreciation of the mandate and the role of the Secretariat and how far we have come. So this aspect of resource mobilization is what has taken a little bit of time. Because you don't go and then grab this money from somewhere. You have to go approach OIC member countries, go to donor partners, go to funding agencies, talk to them, convince them, about the viability of these projects. And then, they also have to take their own time, do their own due diligence before they can disburse this funds.
But then, of course,
and
as
when
members of the OIC, they are always keen and warm to this, to respond to this kind of, because they know it is for the organization.
Yes, they know it is for the organization, and also countries also have strategic and geopolitical reasons for wanting to fund some of these things, but I'm just trying to emphasize this point so that people can understand that since the setting up of the OIC, it's not as if people have been sitting around, but people have worked hard to make sure we are able to acquire funding for these projects.
Now, you
said
you raised $100 million.
No, I said yes.
Where is this money sitting now?
This money is interesting. That's a very important question. And the other thing also, the other misconception also is people think when these monies are raised, they are sent directly to the Gambia
That's why I'm saying.
and into the coffers of the Secretariat. It doesn't work like that. These monies are raised, but they are still within they are still with the donors. So when we identify contractors that will implement these projects, then the funding comes, and it comes in piecemeal. The more you progress, the more money they send. So this is how these things are done. So we've raised money for the roads, the airport, the NAWEX, and the things like that. I'm sure we will come into the details of that.
In fact, I want to go start. Okay. Yeah. Part of this thing, like you said, is not just heads of states flying into Banjul and have a 2 days meeting. No.
Yeah.
It goes beyond that, because it's going to bring a lot of infrastructural development in terms of benefits for the country.
Absolutely.
And you have this well-publicized, media statement which suggested that you are going to build 20 new roads.
Absolutely. In
addition to the Batin Hardin Highway, which will be expanded. Double lanes, or whatever you call it, bigger highway.
Yeah.
And then you have a VIP lounge to be upgraded at the Banjul International Airport.
Yes.
Now, many people have been asking, especially about these 20 new roads, because many people believe that these 20 new roads actually are going to really ease a lot of burden.
Absolutely.
If you talk about the current traffic congestion, it's a nightmare. When I was coming to the studio, I got stuck in traffic. Now, people are asking, you shared, of course, the funds are mobilized. What is left now is to draw up the projects and get the funding. How far are you or the OIC in terms of these roads projects? How far have you gone? Because you were supposed to, you initially said, your office initially announced that they might start in March. We're in May. Yes. We are well into May now.
Yeah, you are right. Answering your first question, I was going to talk about how when these funds are mobilized, there is also another set of procedure to unlock these funds. It's not as easy. So as you rightly said, the funds have been mobilized, and after the mobilization, we spend a bit of time also trying to mobilize to unlock these funds to be able to access them and do some of the preliminary work that is required. So to answer your question, we have gone far with the implementation of our road project, especially right now, where we are in the tail end of the evaluation of the bids. And based on our projection, we are still on course. As you rightly said, we announced last year that we projected that by March work would have started, but unfortunately things happen that are beyond our control. COVID-19 being a key part of that, and other things that also happened, because when COVID came, some of our major partners and funders of these projects also had to shut down. Saudi Arabia being a good example, and Saudi Fund is one of our major funders as well. So because of that, that did not materialize. But I can guarantee you and also tell the viewers to be rest assured that we are well on course. These monies are available. Work will start very, very soon. So we did the tender announcement. We requested for proposals from companies, and up to
how many companies have you got?
About 20 to 21 companies bought the bids, but about 10 to 15 companies responded. Yes, about 10, and some of them it's a mix of both local and international companies. So the evaluation is at an advanced stage. I think, in fact,
how many companies?
Yes.
Do you think you may have to settle with to do these 2 rented roads?
We are thinking of going for more than one companies to also take care of the time factor.
Yes, time factor.
Yeah, because the roads are about 20 across the Greater Banjul area, and as a result, we want to do these things in good time. That is why we adopt the strategy of giving it to more than one companies, so that they 10? Can all simultaneously. No, certainly not up to 10. Yeah, certainly not up to 10.
One would have thought perhaps that if you wanted to be a little bit more faster or more quickly down, you go for 20 companies, so that each one will take one road and then it will finish that.
Nah, it doesn't work like that. Okay. These international companies,
at the contractors' viability,
but also
capacity and stuff like that.
Yeah, you have to look at the viability, the track record, but also would it also make sense for international companies to move their heavy equipment here only to do a 10-kilometer road? That would be a problem. So
that's the problem, because I don't think we have many civil engineering companies, Gambian owned here.
Yes, that is a challenge in us, because the thinking at the Secretariat is to empower local content and local businesses.
But how many of them are here?
But then that is the problem, the expertise, the equipment. So, but the strategy we adopted is to have these international companies match with the domestic ones. So all the companies, most of them who applied, they have joint ventures in the Gambia. Yes. You come from outside, but you have a joint venture with a Gambian company. In fact, all the consultancies we awarded, that was a requirement. That if you are an international company, you must have a local joint venture in the country.
The concern is, if you don't have as many companies as possible, then you overcrowded one company with all these 20 projects. The company may end up,
being overwhelmed.
Had more in their hands.
Exactly.
So you need to strategically look at if you can have as many as possible.
No, that's the idea. That's the idea. But also to also encourage our companies to be more competitive regionally, because if you want to qualify for international contracts, you need to have the track record. So that is why we come up with this strategy of empowering Gambian companies. If an international company comes, you partner with them. You knowledge transfer takes place, but also some funds also remain in the country, and it also enhances their competitiveness. They can also try to venture into the sub-region and try to compete in other places.
Now, does this evaluation also include the main road project, that is the Battle Hardin Highway? I have not seen much activity, although I saw people who are, let me say, people who are hawkers who are squatting on the roads have been asked to move their temporary facilities so that there can be space. But apart from that, I haven't seen heavy equipments or art movements, any movement of arts, or is still the same process? You are dealing with the contractor yet?
Yeah, it's a process. Like I said, before we get to the stage where we bring heavy equipment and start moving places, there are steps that you need to follow. Number one, for the purpose of due procedure, transparency and accountability. That is, you take your time. Well, not take your time per se, but these are procedures you need to follow. You announce, invite companies to bid, evaluate their bids, look for the most responsive company, do the needful, and then start implementing. That's where we are as far as the battle hardening is concerned. The battle hardening also, the companies responded, the bid opening was also done, and the evaluation also is underway. So as soon as we finish that, then we will go into negotiations with the most responsive company, and then finally one will be choosing to do the work. But to also tell you, even ahead of the awarding of the contract, the Secretariat also, with its partners of course, we went around and we've been doing a lot of work in trying to assess the properties along the Battle Harden Highway to see who is affected and who is not affected, because we are requiring about 80 meters, 40-40 on each side, standing in the middle of the current road. So we did that in collaboration with the Department of Physical Planning and other stakeholders that are part of our Road Reserve Committee. So work is ongoing. People don't get to see this behind the scenes work, but we are definitely working, because the thing also is, Mr. Cham, if we should rush and say, okay, for the sake of time, let us just give this company to Mr. Cham, people will complain. They will cry foul. Why do you single source it? So we want to be fair, we want to be transparent. In as much as we want to do these things quickly, we also need to take our time and get it right and make sure we maintain the quality that we are looking for.
Many people's concern. Recently there was an article in the media, an opinion, which suggests that, okay, from the way things are going, 2022 is at a corner, although you didn't say, you didn't say exactly the month, but of course, it has to be now 60, because since we have already gone, we are in the 5th month of the year, it has to be 1 year, at least 7 months or something left. So it has to be within the people are concerned that there isn't much tangible things on the ground for a summit of this scale to take place in the Gambia. So they are worried that if you cannot get this summit really taking place in the Gambia, we may also lose the accompanying benefits we are describing here. Are they linked?
I think to suggest that because the summit to suggest that we are likely to use these benefits because the summit may not hold is not realistic, in the sense that these funds, like I said, have already been mobilized.
But
so whether or not,
still with the donors.
No. But they've been
they've committed.
They've even been I don't know how to the what is it called, the actual term, but the funds are certainly available. They've been unlocked, earmarked already.
So that means whether or not we have the summit next year,
these projects will hold.
Okay,
they have no bearing on the summit taking place in this country. It is just the government of the Gambia and the leadership thinking that we can leverage on this opportunity to improve our infrastructure.
And of course, you people don't go into politics, but improve the political standings or popularity of the current regime.
Yeah, if it means,
politicians will always capitalize, and that's why I'm calling, because most people even in the government, who wish President Barrow, or who wish your office to accomplish these things in time for the elections, well, they are concerned that these roads might not be available or may not be ready before the elections. So in which case, what they want, the politicians, not you, is for them to be ready so that President Barrow and his supporters can always say, okay, this is part of our achievements. We have got this and we've got this. But it looks like they too, the politicians themselves, are worried that not much progress has been made towards making sure that these roads are built before December. This is a political angle, not you people. Of course, you are not bothered with that. You are for realistic and professional delivery of it. Yes. So are you not worried about this thing? coming under political pressure to get your acts together before the elections?
Not at all, not at all.
Okay.
And when we do these things, we have no strategic consideration. We have no other consideration other than the strategic ones. That is how to make so we do what we have to do, carry out our mandate within the time frame that we have. So, like I was saying, if you look at the requirements for a conference, I'm sure you've traveled far and wide and you've attended these conferences.
Exactly.
If you look at international conferences, if there are any things that you would consider
as
to be
very key
would be a conference venue and accommodation facilities.
Yes. So
And when push come to shove, obviously we can get around these things.
Yeah.
So, but that is not to say that is what is going to happen. I'm just trying to tell you, the summit, we have no reason as of this moment to believe that the summit will not take place here because we have some problems with
the major things like
with the things.
accommodation and the conference center. But even an accommodation there, I mean, a 5-star hotel has been envisaged.
Yes.
I mean, preparations for which had started. Let's talk about that because a lot of people raise eyebrows as to whether realistically that is possible because of the huge amount of money. And if it is possible, would it be ready in time for the summit?
That is what we believe, and based on the projections, we believe that the 5-star hotel will be ready by the time the summit comes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Let's now talk about the other areas like the VIP lounge. How far is that?
The VIP lounge also, just like the 20 roads and the NAWEC component, funding has been secured. And also to take care of the time factor, the contract has been awarded to a company that is familiar with the airport, the company that just concluded the airport rehabilitation project. So we are also well on course with that. Yes.
How about this other thing, the NAWEC electrification project? What would that entail?
Yeah, it's a comprehensive support package for NAWEC.
Are they going to get a brand new generator?
It will give a total overhaul of NAWEC's infrastructure. It has both water and electricity component.
Really?
We will enhance their capacity in generation and distribution for both water and electricity. In the area of electricity, NAWEC will replace through our project some of their cables, which are not of they're not up to capacity.
The
capacity that is required. We will also help NAWEC to change some of their obsolete transformers, because from what I gathered, NAWEC generates more than it is able to distribute because of the old infrastructure in place. So through our project, they will replace some of their transformers with new ones. They will also replace some of their distribution cables as well, and they will be able to reach places that are without electricity at the moment. So that is the electricity component. It's a whole lot of issues, but these are the main areas of support that our electricity enhancement component will give NAWEC. In the area of water, NAWEC will construct up to 5 water treatment plants, new water treatment plants. They will also dig about 10 to 15 boreholes, new boreholes, and some of their distribution networks as well, which is the pipes and the things like that, will also be replaced. So it's huge, and at this point I would like to point out that if you look at the nature of the OIC projects, they are at the heart and center of welfare, progress and development for everyone in this country. Because more than I do, that people often complain about the erratic supply of water and electricity. There are places in the greater Banjul area that are without adequate water, and they complain about the supply all the time. So the hope is that when we empower NAWEC, it's about $32 million, by the way.
That's what you're giving to NAWEC?
Yes, that's what we are giving to NAWEC.
Quite a lot of money.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of money. So we are hopeful
that will also be like engaging a contractor who would work on these things and not necessarily dishing out direct money to NAWEC?
No. In fact, NAWEC has gone far with their contracting and the tenders as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
so things are picking up, as you can see. Like I said, the challenge that we have is people understanding that the money is not lying about to use.
Down,
you know, you have to go mobilize these funds and then have them and then talk about implementation. So right now, thankfully, we were able to mobilize these resources for most of these projects. So where we are is we are now moving into the implementation aspect. I know people are so much anxious, looking forward to this project.
I told you,
because they are at the front and center
people
of
who are traveling from going to Brufut to Ghana Town and stuff like me would like it done.
Yes.
So that before the next rain, the politicians who are supporting NPP like you to do it so that they can point to it as an achievement of President Barrow. But the ordinary man just want to see that there is electricity and water
improvement in their lives.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that is why you could. But you have just spoken as if people must understand that the overall benefit of these projects is huge.
Absolutely.
And instead of sitting and castigating or politicizing it, rather we should just support it.
Absolutely.
Until its potentials are achieved.
That is the idea. That is the message I'm sending to everyone. The OIC projects are here for all Gambians. In fact, everybody resident in the Gambia. The way we see these projects is that they are legacy projects.
Exactly.
The summit, long as it may be, will not be more than 5 days.
5 days.
So after the summit, the benefits, the accompanying benefits of these projects will be here to serve us long after the summit is gone. In fact, even whereas we were not able to finish some of these projects before the summit. We have time to do them after the summit.
So we've
seen it in other places like Senegal.
Yeah, Senegal and other
exactly.
have brought about a massive infrastructure.
Exactly. So again, I'm appealing to everybody to join hands with the OIC and all our stakeholders to make sure we carry out these projects and do them on time, because these are the major components, but the projects in total have ripple effects. For example, the projects will contribute to our tourism industry by virtue of the presidential lounge, the conference center, the five-star hotel, even the roads for accessibility. We are contributing to improving the infrastructure of our tourism industry. I was on West Coast Radio a few days ago. I told them,
activity.
In fact, yes, I told them by far this is the largest infrastructure development in our tourism sector ever.
Even in the maybe you could say even in the country.
In the history of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the process also we'll be empowering the security sectors of our country.
Exactly.
A few months ago we gave about 240-foot containers of security equipment and gears. And we are also collaborating with some NGOs to see how we can empower young people with skills, with entrepreneurial skills to be self-reliant. Later on, also when we start moving these roadside vendors and squatters, we also have a package for them to empower them, transform their businesses into formal businesses, move them into formal market settings, so that to kind of support them. To kind of also help them to leverage on the benefits that will come as a result of the
Finally, I want to ask, you mentioned that assessments have been made, and for people whose structures may be within the 80 meters you're talking about.
Yeah.
But then we heard from the OIC that the money you have doesn't include money that's going for compensation.
Yes.
That will be done by the government. That made many people to be worried. If they knock down my building and they say they are not compensating and government is going to compensate, what about if government changed their mind or didn't compensate? That's the problem.
Well, compensation everywhere is a political question.
Yes.
Donor partners don't fund compensation packages as a result of development works.
Or whatever,
So it is for the government to decide and see how they want to compensate people that will be affected. But I can tell you
But what kind of people will be affected? Those who... Are there some regulations that some might have floated, like they've been told not to, not to construct structures beyond this point? Well, because that was the problem. People just get up and put up structures
And
anywhere.
put up structures
what kind
everywhere.
of people do you think will be affected?
Yeah, the exercise that we just concluded, which is the property evaluation and assessment, was exactly for that purpose, to know how people are,
How they get
how people are settled along these major
the highway,
highways. So we will do the assessment to determine who is where and how they got here. And but I understand that there are some people who are in public lands, but they were able to acquire permission from the Department of Physical Planning.
Where does that take us?
Yeah, so that is, but like I said, the process will help us to determine how we move on from this point. Yes.
Fali Fadera, Head of Communications and Branding at the OIC Gambia Secretariat, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Before you go, if there's any other thing you want people to know about it, you'll go ahead in this coming minute.
Just to say thanks for having me on your show, and also to thank the viewers for joining us. But more importantly, I want to appeal to all and sundry to rally behind the OIC and know that this is not a political project. This is developmental. This is transformational in the sense that whatever comes with the OIC, it is here for the benefit of everyone in this country. Like I said, there are legacy projects. When the roads are finished, they will be here to serve us. As you just admitted, moving from point A to point B in this country is a nightmare.
A nightmare now.
So, and the OIC is coming to, fix those problems. We'll be constructing about 20 new roads across the Greater Banjul area, expand the Badil Hardin. I think when that is done, even if the major roads, highways are not done, by just constructing the feeder roads, you are reducing a lot of pressure on the highways. So that in itself would go a long way in making life a lot easier for everyone. So let's join hands, support the OIC, because whatever comes out of the OIC is here to stay and benefit us for posterity.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Fadera. The brunch continues with a look at 20 years of peace ambassadors in the Gambia and the National Youth Parliament on road safety. We'll be back after the short break.
Following the announcement by the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, of the dates for the general voter registration scheduled from the 29th of May to 11th July 2021, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, reminds the public that voter registration is an integral part of the electoral process, as it is key to franchise as stated in Section 39 of the Constitution, and hence a civic right and a duty for all eligible Gambians. The NCCE therefore encourages every eligible citizen to fully participate in this crucial national exercise, as it is the basis for any credible and participatory election. The National Council for Civic Education informs the public that to register and acquire a voter's card in the upcoming general voter registration exercise, one has to prove your Gambian citizenship by producing one of the following documents as stated in Section 12 of the Elections Act: birth certificate, ID card, passport, or alcalo or district chief attestation. As the Gambia prepares for this very important national exercise, the National Council for Civic Education reminds the public to stay away from any altercation and refrain from the use of abusive language, provocative actions, intimidations, thugs, and physical confrontation at all times, as these contravene the laws of the Gambia. The public is encouraged to follow due process to seek redress when the need arises during the period to ensure that peace and stability prevail throughout the process. Voter's card is your key to franchise. Register to vote and vote wisely. This message is brought to you by the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, with support from the United Nations Development Programme
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Kosa nsila ID soto.
Ha, sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ha,
mbare mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Janno mi yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbare ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bele. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi manin domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Following the announcement by the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, of the dates for the general voter registration scheduled from the 29th of May to 11th July 2021, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, reminds the public that voter registration is an integral part of the electoral process, as it is key to franchise as stated in Section 39 of the Constitution, and hence a civic right and a duty for all eligible Gambians. The NCCE therefore encourages every eligible citizen to fully participate in this crucial national exercise, as it is the basis for any credible and participatory election. The National Council for Civic Education informs the public that to register and acquire a voter's card in the upcoming general voter registration exercise, one has to prove your Gambian citizenship by producing one of the following documents as stated in Section 12 of the Elections Act: birth certificate, ID card, passport, or alcalo or district chief attestation. As the Gambia prepares for this very important national exercise, the National Council for Civic Education reminds the public to stay away from any altercation and refrain from the use of abusive language, provocative actions, intimidations, thugs and physical confrontation at all times, as these contravene the laws of the Gambia. The public is encouraged to follow due process to seek redress when the need arises during the period to ensure that peace and stability prevail throughout the process. Voters card is your key to franchise. Register to vote and vote wisely. This message is brought to you by the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, with support from the United Nations Development Programme.
Hello and welcome back to the Brunch and Kerr Fatou Live. I'm Lamin Chan. We had the OIC, of course, with all the frequently asked questions you have for that secretariat and the projects they tasked themselves with to implement against 2022. The Brunch now continues with the Peace Ambassadors of the Gambia, PAG. Well, Peace Ambassadors of Gambia is an organization set up to look for youth and children matters. They are 20 years old now, and to hear from the horse's mouth, if you like, I have in the studio Abubakar Sambu, is the president, and Fatou Mane, who is head of faculty of the organization in the Gambia. Gentlemen and women, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
20 years ago, Abubakar Mane, Sambu, I think you have been involved with the organization since those 20 years.
Yes.
First of all, tell our viewers what those Peace Ambassadors mean. I guess it's an international organization, but take us through to the history of the Gambian chapter.
All right.
Where and when did it all start, and why?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Cham, for that one, and giving us this platform. Peace Ambassadors of the Gambia was initially called Youth Ambassadors of Peace when it was initially started, precisely on the 17th of May 2001. That was when it was created in the Gambia here. The idea was conceived based on the realization that the whole generation of young people have scars in their minds and in their bodies as a result of wounds of armed conflicts, genocide, here and there conflicts. And some of them were kind of thinking of opportunities to pay back. And then around 1999, the United Nations declared 2000 to 2010 as a decade of peace. And that is where some Gambians thought of coming up with an organization, a youth organization that is going to focus on peace building. And this is where some people came together and created an organization and named it Youth Ambassadors of Peace, which is actually going to be a youth-led organization and focusing mainly on peace building. So what the organization tried to do from that stage was to build the concept of peace in the minds of the people, basing it on the UNESCO principle that since war begins in the mind of man, it is in that same mind, and it is in that same mind that the construction of peace must begin. So from that, we believe that we should do a lot of training, awareness creation, building the concept of peace in the minds of the people, and that's how Peace Ambassadors started. And it has a format of recruitment for membership, and that recruitment process is where all those who should be called Peace Ambassadors go through. And in that they are prepared, both in mind and in attitude, to become real peace ambassadors in the societies that they are going to be. 10 years down the line, around 2010, we embarked on an organizational development. And in that organizational development is where we try to look at ourselves. What have we achieved in 10 years? And based on that assessment, we realized that there is need to change the name of the organization, because calling it Youth Ambassadors of Peace limited us only within the framework of youth. And we believe we are doing more work, more than just within the framework of youth, yes. So then we developed that, and then part of that we thought of the changing of the name. And that is where the name changed to Peace Ambassadors of the Gambia. And now it is not limited to only young people. We walk through people, all aspects of life, to ensure peace, stability, and sustainable development prevail in our societies. So this is how we have been going. And 20 years along the way, we got to a point where we thought of internationalizing the organization. That it started in the Gambia, but with all the successes it has received within that period, we thought it would be good, because we had had a lot of engagement across the border. In Senegal, precisely around Casamance, between 2004 and 2008, we had got a lot of engagement and encounter with the MFDC rebel forces. even successfully having a meeting with the former rebel leader, the late Jamakun Senghor, in 2005. And that was really a big surprise for even the Senegalese government, because they could not imagine how we were able to access that man to come public. And in fact, in that engagement, there were some people from Ziguinchor who said they were born and brought up in Ziguinchor, some around 40 or more years old, said that was the first time they saw Jamakun Senghor in public. They've only been seeing him on newspapers, on TV, but physically seeing him, that was the first time, and they were asking, how were these young people able to do this? But that was part of our program we call International Youth Summer School. And this International Youth Summer School brings together young people from the Gambia, Senegal. In that year, we had from Mauritania and Nigeria within the sub-region. So part of it, we had a field visit, and we desired to delegate that one to meeting Jamakun Senghor. And it was a very, very successful meeting. But it was not all easy from that 20 years, because at the beginning, there were times that we will need funds to implement our activities, because these are some ambitious young people who really want to make impact in not only in the Gambia.
I was going to
but
ask
yes.
if you were that very active and very, 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 very vigilant in terms of seeking peace, how did you survive the 20 years?
Yes. In fact,
how was your life 20 years ago,
very
especially
well
on that German?
In fact, whenever I'm asked, what is the first thing that you will say with regards to the success of ambassadors, the first thing I always mention is the ability to sustain ourselves for 20 years. 20 years. Yes. And that is not because we've been receiving funding from certain organizations. I think the only time I remember was 2004 and 2005, that period. We had some support from Concern Universal.
Yes.
We had cross-border projects that we were running with them. But apart from that, we have not received any major funding from any organization. But Peace Ambassadors, when it was started, the concept was this organization must last forever.
But did you have any friction with government?
Whether?
Friction with government?
No. What we try to do always is to be as neutral as possible. So there were attempts in the past for us to show our support to the past government, but we always try to resist that and maintain our neutrality, and that is what makes us a household name. Up till today.
So how have been the relationship within government? Are you generally welcomed or even funded or supported one way or the other?
They never funded us actually, but we've been we've been having some relationship with them. In fact, there were times that the government was even spying on us. There were some times that some of our members were arrested because of the fact that we decided to stay neutral all the time with all the sometimes big promises that if you show affiliation, this is what we are going to do for you. We resisted all that, and we were perceived to be in line with the opposition.
Because
you
have to take up the drums and beats.
Exactly.
Or your neutrality will be questioned.
At the IYSS in 2012, I think that was the year that the 9 people were executed here. That coincided with one of our major activities. We had a march past in Brikama, and somebody just called to give a false information that Peace Ambassadors doing a protest in Brikama, saying there's no peace in the Gambia. And for the night of that day, Fabagari Kale was arrested, who was the executive secretary of the organization at that time. And there were a lot of calls from different places. Thank God, Peace Ambassadors' neutrality helped. Even the Minister of Youth and Sports, the Minister of Justice, all of them intervened to confirm that these people really are not as you think. There was a misinformation somewhere.
But if there are genuinely problems that you think can break the peace, it's coming from the side of the government, even though you are not political, aren't you going to be bold enough to address it?
Yes, we were doing that. Sometimes we will make press statements. We'll make statements
condemning actions.
Yeah, condemning
that
actions.
you think can break the peace.
Yes, we try to do that sometimes. But in most cases, what we do is we try to operate differently from the way other organizations operate. Okay. What we usually do, if for example there's an issue that we have concern with, we try to pay a courtesy call to certain institutions. Like for example, the ministers responsible for certain things, we pay a courtesy call to them. Sometimes you don't see those things in public space, like in the media. We do that for a reason. Yeah, so we do a lot of work behind the scene. Go to meet them face to face. Sometimes in their offices we can have arguments. But that stops in the office there. But they actually it results to changing certain decisions that the government actually wanted to make. But the public will not see that. So this is how we've been operating as an organization. Fantastic. But for funds. we wanted to sustain the organization. And to do that, we try to create a unit within the organization that we call the A+. That is called the Ambassadors Plus. Now, this A+, we give them a task of doing everything they can do to ensure we always have funds to run our activities. We don't want to depend on donors. If we have organizations that are interested in partnering with us and they have funds that we can spend, that is all welcome. But in case we don't have that, we don't have to fall our hands and wait for donors. So that A+ was mainly looking for that. So they desire to create some business components within them, and they do business, raise funds, but that is not to make the organization a profit making, but those funds are now used to help the organization run its activities. They do mattress rental, they do chair rental, they have PA system, they have catering program, and so forth. So even program management, for example, you have a program, let's say naming ceremony, or you have a conference, or you have a festival, and you want some people to help you in the management of that. The A+ has all those facilities, and they provide those services. So organizations have been hiring our services, getting money from that, and that serves to help us implement our activities.
Okay, we will now take a look at your focus in the next coming years, or 10 or decade or so, whatever you measure your programs to. Fatou Mane, you are supposed to be the head of the faculty. First of all, what do you mean? What do you do as head of the faculty?
Thank you again for allowing us to be here today. When we talk about the faculty, we're talking about the training aspect of it. Like some will talk about we recruiting young people because we want to change the mindset of young people.
Yes.
We want every young person in the Gambia to have that peaceful mind that you can relate and talk to anybody. Because for us, we believe that we, the young people, are the ones that are growing up to become responsible citizens.
Yeah.
And if you have that attitude of a peaceful attitude, you can be able to run and organize or manage an institution as an elderly person. So, but the faculty head is focused more on trainings, and the training has to do with peace and conflict management, anger management, soft skills, life skills, entrepreneurship, because those are the things that we need. We believe if a young person has them, can be able to explore. Yes, for the training, it's not only focused on like training one person and do it. When you talk, someone talks about having international youth summer school, it's a camp. But the camp, it's not only just to go and have fun. It's to have sessions. Like it's a 1 week, like 2 weeks, 15 days camp. We usually organize every year. Just last year that we didn't organize because of the COVID.
Yeah.
But every year we identify a country, a city or a village where we're going to do it. Sometimes even go all the way to Senegal. Sometimes we go all the way to Guinea-Bissau. Yeah, and most of the times we organize it in the Gambia. But in the Gambia, we go to regions, different regions, because we want everybody's participation. So what we do is when we go, but we invite not only ambassador members, but we invite all youth groups in the Gambia. Even civil service organizations, government officials, because we have the paramilitaries, the police, the immigration.
You all have this as members.
All of those people are members that we invite, that we send 1 or 2 people to come and participate. Because we want us to be all together. Like being together is what is most important. Because the thing is, for example, if you bring a young person all alone in the class without a police officer, without a soldier, an PIU officer, it will not relate the message of peace to the general public. It's just going to be limited to us, the young people. But if you bring all those security men in between, and also government officials, civil servants, you will see the message of peace being spread to all of them. So you will see even us as young people who are always in crimes, when we commit crimes, police officers can know how to handle those crimes within us, because we will train you how to do that. So you will see the training, the camp, it's training, but you see from within the camp itself, you have portions where you have cultural events organized, because we want that bonding to be within us.
Like, who can become a peace ambassador?
Everybody. Everybody can become a peace ambassador.
How do I become one? If I'm a young person and I want to become a peace ambassador, I just walk into your offices and you assess me, and then I become a peace ambassador. No,
not only assess you, like some will talk about recruitment. Like when you come and say you want to be a peace ambassador, you know how we attract members to come to organizations, we go and tell them what we experience.
I see. And then they come, they voluntarily come.
Because the thing is, it's not only about inculcating the mind of the attitude of peace in the mind of young people, but also to change your soul, because the soul is very important. If you have that hard soul, you cannot be tolerant. You cannot be able to accept anybody. But when you go through the recruitment, there is this process where when you come back home, you become a different person.
So in other words, you indoctrinate the youths, to have tolerance, always to have a manageable temper, control tension, and cultivate cordial relationship between people who might even be different from you in terms of culture, language, or even perceptions.
Exactly. So our camp, we don't segregate, irrespective of coming from a wealthy family, a beautiful family, an ugly family, a poor family. It does not matter. All that matters is we are all human beings. We are all Gambians. We don't even look at who is a Jola, who is a Fula, who is a Mandinka, who is a Wolof. No. All we know is we are all human beings. We are all Gambians. And whatever it's necessary is, we want to maintain peace.
How widespread your catchments? Do you, for example, conduct activities in Mansakonko, in Georgetown,
yes.
Or you just basically mainly here?
We have I can say we have regional zones everywhere in all the regions. We call them chapters.
Okay.
We have Kims chapter, we have West Coast chapter, we have Interior Belt, we have the Middle Zone. Everywhere you go in the Gambia, you have a peace ambassador member. Not only in the Gambia, but in every development sector you go, in the banks, in the police, in the government officials, in the health centers. Everywhere you go, you see an ambassador, a member. And you can see that is one thing, that is also one of our strengths, because that is what has also been a standing force that help us become more visible, more sustainable, and more resilient till today. Because when we need something from a police officer, we can call one of our police officer member that was a peace ambassador. That's a peace ambassador member. This is what is happening in the police. Can you please relate? Can you please help us? And that person will take the lead.
Exactly.
And this, when we even need something from the bank, we have a member. This is what we need in the bank. Can you help? So this is what has been our backbone. This is what has been making us become more sustainable. As Sambu said, we do not want to know where you're from. Like when you go to the summer camp, you will see a Jola being taken to a Wolof community.
Exactly.
In the cultural night, you have to dress and look Wolof. And you are not even Wolof. You have to dress and look Jola, and you're not even a Jola. Because we want you to know that it is not you belong
to a nation.
Exactly. That is how we are. And this is something that has been making us become more sustainable, more vigilant, and impactful, I would say. Because when you look at peace ambassadors members, beyond, we've gone beyond, even to Europe, US, wherever you can name, you have peace ambassador members that are contributing to the sustainability of the organization.
Now, you really you are embarking on activities as recent as I think last month or this month, and we are going to head into an election year, where there are quite a number of risks that can really risks that can really threaten the peace of the nation. And you really insist that you are not political. How do you think, or what are your activities heading towards the voter registration, the election campaign, and an election year? How do peace ambassadors work?
All right. Thank you very much. Understanding the fact that elections can be a means of bringing sustainable peace, but can also be a cause of serious conflict if not properly managed. And for that reason, peace ambassadors build a lot of interest in elections, not only in the Gambia, but even outside the Gambia. We've trained some of our members on election observation, both national and international election observation. But since 2006, peace ambassadors has observed all the elections that happen in the Gambia, ranging from presidential, parliamentary, local government, and even by-elections. Peace ambassadors make sure they observe all elections.
And how have been your impressions?
Yeah, it has
in terms of peaceful nature or otherwise of elections.
Yeah, generally Gambians are not violent type of people. They always conduct themselves according to the IEC principles in terms of elections. Our observations go through that, checking to make sure that all these things are conducted well. But usually our election is limited to the election day. Election day is what we observe, and usually that everything goes smoothly. But later we realize that elections, the free and fairness of election is just not election day. It is determined months before the election day. And that is why now we have decided to start a long-term election observation program. 2017, I was in Ghana doing ECOWAS long-term election observation program. And this year we have secured funding from National Development Institute, NDI, from the United States. We are working with them, starting a long-term election observation in the Gambia. The process is already on. And we have observed political party congresses, the congresses that happen. And we are also doing a monthly situational analysis on the political situation of the Gambia. And one of the editions was meant specifically to report on the way we have observed, what we have observed in political party congresses.
What was your latest observation? Last month?
This one was just last Thursday.
What were your observations?
Our observations were mainly on the electoral bill. We had assessments in the community, and there are a lot of concerns that we have brought out from that assessment, that people's fear of the inability of the electoral bill to be passed by the National Assembly, and that the fear that since the registration is starting on the 29th and the bill has still not been passed, it has not become a law yet. So that means we are going to use the old system to still register the people. But what will happen when the new bill come into effect, when the registration period is already over? So people have raised those concerns, and also have raised concerns with regards to the IECs not being too effective in communicating their challenges and their problems to the people. That led to some speculations. So what the public expect is IEC regularly communicating to them that this is what is happening. At least that will build the confidence in them. But we are observing, in fact, these days, yesterday and today, we are doing a training of trainers on the election voter registration observation. So we'll be deploying 53 observers in the across the country who will be observing the registration process. And we are doing this to add credibility in the process, because there are a lot of because in our findings in the last update, people are also raising concerns of the fear of non-Gambians being registering.
That's a big
So we said peace ambassadors will be observing this, and we understand there are some political parties also who are interested in observing voter registration process.
They make sure that they have representatives at every voter registration.
which is a good thing, and I think IEC is also ready to give accreditation to anybody who want to observe the registration process. This is not only going to make it fair, but it will also add the credibility to the integrity of the process, because people will see other people observing, giving the chance to make sure they watch every stage. So that is what Peace Ambassador is doing, and from that we'll be observing the campaign period when it starts, the nomination campaign period, and the election day itself. So we are into elections and observing every stage of it. But we are not only watching IEC, we are watching political parties as well. And what we always encourage is let political parties know that they are being watched.
If your concern is basically for the protection of peace and the promotion of peace, what are you demanding of political players? Within these days, for example, the venom in the messages, the rhetorics of the politicians have been condemned to be too much of venomous or too much full of hate or perhaps threatening language or insulting languages, either from the politicians themselves, not mainly, but their supporters. How do you react to those things?
I think in our second edition of the monthly situational analysis, that was after the end of the political party congresses, we have identified that we realized that the political field right now is full of accusations and counter-accusations by either political party leaders or their militants. And we believe that is not really healthy for our politics. What we expected political party leadership and their members to be doing is to be selling their manifesto, their plans, and their policies to the people, rather than accusing. Because sometimes they will successfully be able to, for example, if Lamin Cham is in one camp, successfully bring issues that will tarnish the image of Lamin Cham in the eyes of their supporters. But in turn, they will not. In turn, they will not tell us what they can offer us when they come to power. So what they will be busy doing is tarnishing the image of their opponents, but not telling people actually what they can do, how they will be able to lift the society from the current troubles, into a future that is based on development and sustainable peace. So that's what we are encouraging. Let them focus on the principles of good governance. Let them focus on what they can do to help the country move forward. Because people are saying this is going to be the most contentious election, considering the fact that we have 18 political parties, registered political
and
parties, and some independents. So we are talking about 20 or 20 plus, if all of them will desire to contest.
A lot may not eventually end up as candidates, but then all the same, they are politically interested groups anyway. So like you said, in your view, they are still political groups.
So the message that we are asking them to put into them is that they should understand that the messages coming from political leaders are always very powerful messages. And their supporters tend to believe in whatever is coming from them so much. And for that reason, we are asking them to be very peaceful.
Assess them individually, or you just cut across
no,
central message to all of them?
We do general assessment, but we also do individual assessment.
Okay,
because when we were...
you through, how do you assess the conduct of DOE? Their messaging?
We don't want to be...
You are political, you can comment on it.
Mr. Cham, I think we are going outside the box.
I want you to definitely direct. I'm not shy of directing and assessing them.
No, what we do actually is not to
you don't want to name
not to judge political parties separately. But what we do, for example, after the political party congresses, we have seen a lot of loopholes in different political parties. And during our monthly,
publicly denounce them, but you meet
that's what we do. During our press briefing, I mean the monthly situational analysis, we don't mention them specifically, but we try to do the final report on our recommendations and send it to some of the parties concerned that we have realized in your Congress this and this were problems. So we try to address it at that level rather than coming up. Because when we want to talk about parties individually, we may say certain things about certain parties.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to say, we will not blow our trumpet to say we have been participating very well when it comes to election processes to maintain peace in the Gambia. But we have been doing a lot of it, honestly. But that is why we said, like, when we have to mention politics, political. Let me just come.
When you are dealing with politicians,
let me just land.
They make public statements.
Yeah,
so if you are not unhappy with them, you make public your unhappiness.
Yeah, but no, public unhappiness. That is right. But for us as an institution, as an organization, we don't want to be that category of people that will also denounce our unhappily things that we're not happy at publicly. Because for us, we always say we maintain peace, and we said we are not non-political, non-partisan. We are not so that is existing to maintain peace. So whatever it takes, we should maintain peace. So whatever we want to do, we should do it that nobody should know that peace ambassador is involved in making sure that this is what is happening.
In fact, to give you an example,
why the civic society organization will release public statements condemning President Barrow.
In fact, I want to give you that example. After the 2016 presidential election, when Jammeh came on the 9th to reject the election and calling for fresh elections, we've seen a lot of organizations coming out with public statement to condemn and asking him to step down.
You didn't do it.
We did it. I think we were the first organization to even publish. What we did was we came out publicly, put up a public statement, indicating that we have observed the election and we found it very free and fair. There was no problem with the elections. So, but the current situation, we are calling on the government, political parties, in whatever actions that they are doing, they consider the peace and security of the Gambia first. So when people saw us as hypocrites, and in fact a lot of fight on the ground, but the reason why we did that was we don't only want to stop at making a public statement, but we want to do a lot of work. So after doing that statement, we went down and set up a mediation committee. A lot of people did not know about it. And in fact, in that, we included religious leaders. Like Uncle Serim Fai from National Council was part of that mediation team. Father Jaju from the Christian Council was part, and there was an imam also who was part of the mediation team. So what we did was, we have been meeting stakeholders concerned, like political party leaders. We have met the leadership of APRC, GDC, and the coalition. And we have had three stakeholders dialogue during that period, where all these stakeholders were represented, and a lot of frank discussions happened during that period.
That was impressive and strategic.
Yeah, because if we had condemned
you disagreed with Jammeh, because on his view that the election process was not credible, you disagreed with him, but then you don't want to give license to the opposition also to take arms against him.
Because what happened also is we realized if we desire to use the condemnation aspect, when we want to mediate with them, they would not want to see us because these people have already condemned us. But we successfully had a meeting with the APRC leadership at that time, and we had a meeting with the coalition. Even the president, when he was at the hotel, we had a meeting with him. That we are putting, in fact, we go traditional, we go with colonel to put to them that we have observed the election and this is what we are advising. We give them the message of peace. And they were very impressed with the method that we were using, because that at that time was even advocating this is a Gambian problem, we should solve it the Gambian way. So we are using the Gambian way to try our way out. Yes.
So people might not realize, but you people have been working in the background.
Yes, yeah, really.
Yeah. Fantastic. 20 years and still kicking. Still very much alive. Thank you very much, Abubakar Sambo, President of the Peace Ambassadors Gambia, and Fatou, Head of Faculty. Thank you very much. And we wish you even greater success.
Thank you.
Because as you said, the challenge that lies ahead coming up to December is huge. And I'm sure, I pray that you really achieve greater success in building peace.
I don't know if I can just say a few things within 2 minutes. Thank you for having us today here. But when you look at Peace Ambassador's role, we want to maintain peace. That is why now we start at grassroots level. We want to start at the grassroots level. When you say grassroots level, we start from the children itself. Because now we are growing up. We become adults, and children will take our place too. So we start from the children's level to inculcate the culture of peace and non-violence in them. And this is why we organize children camps to teach and train them to maintain peace, to live in harmony, to love and support each other. Because that is when we go out to my neighbor and I can accommodate him or her, because we all come from the same place. This is what we do to make sure that our existence as an organization will still be maintained, because we want to leave a legacy behind for every young person and Gambia at whole. That is why we're not only limiting ourselves to Gambia, but we're going international, because we want to make sure that Africa is free of violence. Africa is a state of peace and will always be peaceful. Thank you.
Fantastic, Madam Mane. Right, Mr. Sampo, thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
And we'll hope to link up with you, of course, as you celebrate 20 years and as you go, of course, ahead with your activities towards the elections.
Thank you.
We'll be back this time. We will have the National Youth Parliament members in the studio.
Following the announcement by the Independent Electoral Commission, the IEC, of the dates for the general voter registration scheduled from the 29th of May to 11th July 2021, the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, reminds the public that voter registration is an integral part of the electoral process, as it is key to franchise as stated in Section 39 of the Constitution, and hence a civic right and a duty for all eligible Gambians. The NCCE therefore encourages every eligible citizen to fully participate in this crucial national exercise, as it is the basis for any credible and participatory election. The National Council for Civic Education informs the public that to register and acquire a voter's card in the upcoming general voter registration exercise, one has to prove your Gambian citizenship by producing one of the following documents as stated in Section 12 of the Elections Act: birth certificate, ID card, passport, or alcalo or district chief attestation. As the Gambia prepares for this very important national exercise, the National Council for Civic Education reminds the public to stay away from any altercation and refrain from the use of abusive language, provocative actions, intimidations, thugs, and physical confrontation at all times, as these contravene the laws of the Gambia. The public is encouraged to follow due process to seek redress when the need arises during the period to ensure that peace and stability prevail throughout the process. Voter's card is your key to franchise. Register to vote and vote wisely. This message is brought to you by the National Council for Civic Education, NCCE, with support from the United Nations Development Programme.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
Welcome back to the brunch, live on Kerr Fatou. I'm Lamin Cham, and we now go to the final segment of our this jam-packed edition of Current Affairs on Kerr Fatou. Now I'm in the company of the National Youth Parliament. Of course, when we say Parliament, don't necessarily have the National Assembly as you know it, but there exists a fully functional National Assembly at youth level. I have in the studio members of the National Youth Parliament of the Gambia, Ndegen Job, he is the Deputy Speaker, and I have Tijan Kuyate, who is the... Of course, okay. The demand I said honorable. So I have in my studio, Honorable Ndegen Job is the Deputy Speaker. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you.
The Honorable Tijan Kuyate is the Clerk of the Youth Parliament. Welcome to Kerr Fatou. And we have with us Lamin Kinkole. He is the Commissioner for all traffic matters in the Gambia. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Good. Now, before we go on to the most recent activities of the Youth Parliament, which touches on the daily professional work of Commissioner King, let's first hear from you, the parliamentarians. What is the Youth Parliament and what are your functions as opposed to Parliament as people know it, the National Assembly? I give that to you, the clerk, or no, maybe the Deputy Speaker. Honorable Ndegen Job, welcome. What does the Youth Parliament do?
Thank you very much. And first, I must express I am glad to be here. And the National Youth Parliament is a registered youth organization that was founded in 2002. And we go by the mantra, we represent the voice of the young people. And we have regional parliaments in all the 7 administrative regions of the Gambia. And we have the national executive that is answerable to the National Council, which comprises of the executive and also the regional speakers. We have 5 intervention areas, which include health, environmental protection, gender mainstreaming, road safety, and as well good governance and democracy. So these are intervention areas so dear to our heart that we know affects the lives of young people, and we tend to represent their voice in looking at the problems and trying to find solutions as to what we do to better the lives of the young people of this country. Thank you.
And Honorable Tijan Kuyate, the clerk, how do you go about organizing? We know the conventional National Assembly, which make laws, discuss national matters, representative of the people. Who do you represent?
Yes, so as the Honorable Deputy Speaker said, we represent the voice of young people of this country. We know we all cannot be heard at the same time, but when we have a structure that represents us, we can always channel our complaints, the things that are affecting us, we can always channel them through this leadership for us, for our voices to be heard by the government and all stakeholders. So the National Youth Parliament stands to advocate for the voice of young people. And we do this by advocating for policies. We do this by advocating for development programs for young people, and even for inclusion of young people into our leadership, our decision-making spaces, and the like. So yeah, and when you talk about the road safety, the National Youth Parliament has a long-standing history of advocacy when it comes to road safety. In 2008, we played a crucial role in the advocacy for helmets to be included, and that of seat belts in the Motor Traffic Act in 2008. And we all know these are important health measures that were put in place.
So you mean you advocated for the inclusion of seat belts to be in the traffic rules 2008?
In 2008, we played a crucial
role in getting that.
Yes. So that history has been with us, and that is all the more reason today we continue to advocate for better road safety policies and laws for our country. And we are really troubled by the recent statistics of our country. And that is why we are out there to call for action, to provide remedy to some of these challenges that we are facing. And I think it is important to start now than to wait until it is too late. That's why we called for a forum where we brought in all relevant stakeholders to have a discussion. We look into the root causes of this challenge, this ailing menace of our country, the enabling and the reinforcing factors, and better still, our legal framework, whether or not they are conforming or whether or not they are coming up to standard. Are they really fulfilling the capacity that they are put in place to represent or to help the country.
And the Honorable Deputy Speaker, this forum happened at on Wednesday at
yes, at Metsi Residential Hotel.
What did you hope to achieve in such a forum?
Thank you very much. If you look at the forum, we bring stakeholders from all walks of life, from the police, from the Edward Francis Teaching Hospital, from the Ministry of Transport. We brought the Transport Union. We brought CSOs who are also interested in the in road safety to come up together and brainstorm on what is actually the problem. Why are we having the laws and policies, but yet still we are having road safety crisis in the country? And what could we do? And when we do the forum, we have realized the loopholes in the act and other factors such as behavioral factors and all that. And we have come up with how are we going to solve this? Who are we going to engage more to see we find solutions for this, and also design host of other activities and
that's quite correct.
Yeah, and dialogues to see that by the end of the day, before we said we are at the end of 2021, we have remedied these solutions, if not to 0%, to a very impressive percentage. We need to save the lives of our people.
Especially young people. Young people are affected because according to research, road traffic crash related deaths and injuries are estimated to be the #1 cause of death for young people aged between 5 to 29. So you see, young people are affected globally, and in the country it's no different. Most of the crashes are involving young people, and that is only more reason we are out there to ensure that these productive citizens, we continue to lose every day. Does not become a normal thing. It needs to stop.
Okay, when you talk about why are regulations and laws in place, yet we continue to have unnecessary accidents resulting in untimely death on the road, you put such questions to law enforcement officers, such as the Commissioner for Traffic in the Gambia, Commissioner Lamine Kinkoli. You addressed this forum at the hotel there. What was your message? And why do you think we still have rules that, people deliberately refuse to obey, resulting in these unnecessary accidents? What are the measures you and your people are doing? I must congratulate you, because I had as late as 5 a.m. in the morning yesterday. You people were busy doing exactly what these people are advocating. But what was your message to them at the conference?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Cham. And then thank you very much to Honorable
Deputy Speaker. Don't forget to put the Honorable.
Honorable Deputy Speaker and Honorable Clerk,
exactly.
Youth Parliament. And again, first of all, I have to thank my commander, High Command over there. As you have mentioned, yesterday, I just went home today at 5:30 to bed, and then again I am up to regularize certain things at the office, basically on traffic matters and criminal matters, which were caught over the night. And then I must confess to say thank very much to the new Inspector General of Police. For the first time in the history, we were with him out until this morning.
Wow.
And then even by now, if you call him, he might be at bed because actually in uniform, full uniform, we round the entire Greater Banjul area. Now, the bottom line is, as she said, as the honorable member said, if accidents occur or happened, eyes are onto the police, fingers are onto the police, every word is onto the police. But now, that forum I questioned. I said, can you tell me in your research how many police officer driver kill a person?
How many police officer driver ever kill a person? Okay, that's a good question.
You know,
and how did they respond?
No, they just laugh. As they do. Yeah, because
so are you suggesting that police drivers are always good drivers?
Not even police drivers, security drivers are always good drivers because
they obey.
We have, apart from the law, aside of the law, we have our punishment. Right? If a serviceman, even if you don't kill, you went out, drive, and damage, had an accident with the vehicle, you have to pay.
But King, sometimes we see soldiers, police or soldier drivers who think that they are Lord on themselves and then they just go, they hardly wait traffic. They always put on flashlight as if they are the only busiest people in the country.
Those
things happen.
Yes. I allow it and it allow it. And then I think every genuine government citizen should allow that. Because our job destined that. Because sometimes we do on emergency. Even my very self. Was it Thursday when the president was leaving? You know the conjunction from Brikama to here. And I supposed to be at 8 o'clock. I supposed to be at the State House.
Yes.
So I wake up. How far? Because me sometimes, if I want to go to my office, as early I will wake up by 5:30.
From Brikama.
From Brikama, 5:30 to whatever necessary. Put on my uniform and off I go. And just by 6 o'clock to 5:45, IGP is in his office. So sometimes if you are to engage in a very serious, engagement, sometimes you have to allow. We need to allow that. What about the ambulance? We give way to the ambulance. Why do we give way to the ambulance? Because of the person there. It's an emergency. Sometimes we run on emergency. Let the civilians understand that. Sometimes you can call and say somebody was about to attack Lamin Cham at the Independent. Do you think you have to follow up the queue? No. You must violate.
Standard.
Exactly.
You still remember the Independent.
Exactly.
Okay.
Oh, standard. Yeah, thank you.
So let's go back to your topic. You said security drivers are the ones who commonly respect traffic rules, and they of course know the consequences.
What I said, violating of that traffic diversion or traffic flow, that is not about what I am just talking about. What I am talking about the accidents. If you look at the data collected from my office, from the office of anywhere in this country, you will see to read that I may not even limit it to the security drivers, but to the government drivers. Because they all know that they have a punishment apart from the point of law. You either be dismissed if you are found faulty by the vehicle control on their recommendations, or you either pay, reprimanded to pay that particular vehicle if you found faulty. So they are always careful. So,
and this does not exist for other drivers.
Exactly. So in a general note, the accidents recorded in this country is attitudes. Yeah. The behaviors. The laws are there, the regulations are there, the signboards are there, but they never follow up this. We have to change the attitude.
I understand the youth parliamentarian raised the question also of enforcing that the police selective justice, or to put it mildly, corruption, etc., of the police that makes the drivers to be bold, embolden them to deliberately flout the rules, because they can settle with policeman X or B. It won't reach Mr. King's office.
Thank you very much, Lamin Cham. I was expecting this question.
I understand.
And then I am well prepared to give you the response.
Exactly.
And then last Wednesday when we were at the conference, somebody mentioned about corruption.
I know they will.
Somebody mentioned about enforcement of law. And I told them, if you want the statistics, you just come to my office. And then thank God, when my PRO called me to come to this program, I was able to, only my office, the statistics for the enforcement of the law.
Let's have
Just mobile traffic alone, at one particular court, that is the KM Carnegie Municipal Court, at Carnegie Municipal Council's Court, not at Carnegie Municipal Carnegie Magistrate Court.
The Council Court, where you
And this is also out of the mandatory fines that we are giving.
Okay.
You can see only one station recorded 131,950
cases.
Fines in monetary. About 41 cases that were arranged. And then with this amount, you look at the, I quite agree with the clerk to say we need to look at some of these laws. They are very old and they attract a very minimum fine. Now, for example, on license driving, a person driving a vehicle without a license.
Very serious crime.
You see, you are talking very serious.
Very serious.
But the law is saying very minors. Because it's a fine.
What is the penalty?
The penalty is a fine not more than $1,000, not less than $500.
How about overspeeding? What is the law saying about overspeeding?
Overspeeding.
That would be 500 or something.
Overspeeding is also about $1,000. So you imagine the lives that could be lost due to overspeeding and the fine attached to that. If I'm caught because of overspeeding, I can pay $1,000. More than once, more than twice, more than three.
But fundamentally, the person who is not even capable, whose capacity for driving has not even been confirmed as certified. You know, those are the kind of drivers who are likely to speed unnecessarily or kill people because they are not competent. Now, if you are saying the penalty, the law is giving a penalty as light as $1,000,
that the magistrate should not fine the person more than $1,000 and should not come below $500.
Where do we go to correct this? You, as policemen, should go to Parliament, I guess.
We do. We did our recommendations. You know, we cannot force the parliamentarian. Like they did on the seat belts and the crash helmet. You take up your case, you make your recommendations, and send it. And
you make campaigns such as you are doing here, and calling on the parliamentarians that this law is very, very
that was the same discussion I had with him before we come on the show. I told him that we need to push these matters, to the parliament. And by doing so, first we need to provide data to the people. People need to know and perceive the danger attached to road traffic crashes that are occurring in our country. If this does not happen, then it will be very, very difficult for parliament or any stakeholder that is relevant to road traffic.
You mentioned 40 prosecutions.
Road Traffic Act
40
to be able to do anything.
Process people and they all find a fee, paid a fine of about 100 and something thousand. But 40 prosecutions out of what we see, the chaos and KMs particularly, does this represent a very high success in terms of prosecution or enforcement, or you think there's still a lot of you think there are still a lot of cases that doesn't come to you for prosecution?
I mean, as I said earlier on, this is only one part of a unit in KM. You have the magistrate court there, and we got our own mandatory fines. So these mandatory fines, they are issued by police officers and then receipted at the spots. You pay it within 7 days, and the money to it, you pay to the central government's coffer at the central bank or the sub-treasury. So those ones are not counted.
What I'm trying to say, do you think this is success in terms of catching the culprits compared to
of course it's a success.
Big success.
It's a success.
You don't think there are cases that doesn't reach you or your office because the police settle them on the traffic?
Not the police settle. I mean, cases that involve an accident, the law allowed the two parties to compromise when it comes to material damage. Like if my car should knock your car, or I drive and I knock your car, you just jump up and say, yeah, call you. But what happened? I said, I'm sorry. You are sorry, yes. It should be independent. The police should not be involved.
That can settle
that settlement. The police should not be involved. Our involvement will be at the preliminary time to come and measure it and say, Cham, you are at fault. Right? So, and then the law says you are doing dangerous driving, resulted to these accidents or overtaking, that is all involved in dangerous driving or overspeeding. Now he said, can you allow me to settle with Mr. King? Yeah, no problem.
Well, what about Mr. King? Why can't you, the police there can prosecute the man who is wrong for causing the accident in the first place?
No, let me tell you. That damages can be settled between you and him.
But the wrongful act of speeding unnecessarily.
Yes, if it is unnecessary, the police can also proceed. But now that will be, if the police will take the person to court, he will only arrange the person to court by violation of the law.
Yes.
That is dangerous driving.
Exactly.
And then from there we have done with the person. Now if you want a compensation, you have to fill in a civil suit against the person. And then which the police will also assist you to carry up at the court.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question for Commissioner Kohli.
Yes.
In other countries, you have the ticketing system, where if you are found overspeeding, maybe even though you have not caused any accident, but minor traffic violations, you are ticketed.
Speed limit.
Yes, speed limits and others, you are ticketed. So
How
I
much-
think
how much
have the police thought of this, or are you thinking in this line? Because I think this is going to help the enforcement.
Ticket
aspect
like
of
what?
it.
Ticketing like-
Ticket like if you are found overspeeding
And
or
speed limits, how much is
speed,
a
you are
speed
not
limit?
following the speed
Sure, you don't
limit,
have equipment to
wrong
monitor.
parking and others. In other countries, you are ticketed and you pay this fine. You go to the bank, you pay. This is going back to the state coffers.
But that's what we have. That's what is similar to the mandatory fine. You have fine on spots.
But what he's trying to say, how do you monitor somebody who speed, like in advanced countries?
No, for overspeeding, we don't ticket nobody. Because over ticket, you have to produce evidence.
Exactly.
So you see,
you don't have the equipment.
What we do ticket is obstructing on the highway, dangerous driving, and then in fact, the law is guided. You cannot just give a mandatory fine to all offenses. There are offenses I think under Section 84 of the Motor Traffic Act, where it is mandatory to give a mandatory fine. But other like rash and negligent act causing death, dangerous driving, Section 49 or whatever, causing the life of a person or injure a person, you cannot issue a ticket on those things. All what you need is to arrange the person to the court.
Deputy Speaker, I have some further questions for him. What do you make, Honorable Deputy Speaker? What other question do you have for him? Issues you raised at that forum?
I think he talked about a lot of the things. Most of the things, contrary to most people, I agree with the commissioner, because it's a shared responsibility. Generally, we are good at saying the police in most of the happenings in the Gambia, but first of all, we don't question our part of the responsibility. Have we fulfilled our part of the responsibility, and then we question the police for fulfilling their part of the responsibility. We all know, we are all Gambians, and we know one of the things that is retarding the work of the police, like we just said, is resources. Had they had that technology, they will be able to prove overspeeding, and now we'll be talking about laws put in place to have fines and laws for overspeeding, but we don't. So they need to manage on what they see. They are working on what they see and what they witness. That becomes very hard for them as an institution. That becomes very hard for them as an institution. So it's a collective responsibility. From the pedestrian, you're walking, how careful are you from the vehicles? The one driving, how careful are you considering the ones in the vehicle and also the ones on the road? And to the police as well, if you caught someone who is at fault, are you doing what is expected of you and to what level? So these are all questions we need to ask across the board. Who is doing what, and why is he doing it, or what should he do in place? Yeah, that's
As also youth parliamentarians, I think you will be concerned, of course, like the clerk said, the involvement of young people in accidents. In some countries, very young people are accompanied whenever they go into highways because of the risk involved. Do you involve in your advocacy for people, the community, people in the community, to actually, protect young children who may not have a good judgment as to the way to conduct or go about themselves on the highway?
Yeah, thank you very much. It comes up during the forum as a recommendation to go back to community responsibility. We used to see when we were way younger, when we go to school, we go in group, and one of the parents in the neighborhood will accompany us to school and back. And we, part of the nursery rhymes, we also used to sing Janiwe Mano Kuntula, Ibruba Jube, Imara Jube, and all that. And now we are not saying that. So community and schools need to take back their responsibilities, not necessary to inculcate it into our curriculum. We have a lot of things we are inculcating into our curriculum, and it is not adding value to the lives of our children. So not necessarily to the curriculum, but to the extracurricular activities like the singing they do, the dancing they do, to pass the message that way, and to make sure, you know, parents are so concerned that if you cannot take your child to school every day, there is somebody in the neighborhood who does it. You know, if you do it today, ask the next parent to do it the next day, and it will become convenient for
my
them.
experience. I see parents who rather yobante.
Yeah.
You see, serious things like yobanteing your dom to school, as if you are yobanteing a property. I mean, you know, you look at these things, you go to other countries, these things are impossible, unheard of. For somebody to take his or her child and trust it to another person to take it to school on a daily basis, and you feel comfortable with that.
And I think that is
unheard of and unthinkable.
I think
and
that
I
is
think if like you youth parliament should really hack on this, sensitize the public that look, you need to spare time for the kids and not just treat the kid like a commodity that you can really pass on to people.
I think that is even better, those who yobante. There are certain parents, they don't know the way to school of their children. Honestly, they don't.
And also the Ministry of Education would say this, Commissioner, you will agree, that they have built schools, you know, as near to the people as possible. Why do you find the need to risk, you know, the child's life by sending him to a faraway school when you have nearby?
I mean, Mr. Cham, not even that.
Yeah.
I experienced our school is a community school. I was very vocal in establishing that school. We call it Santosu Nursery School. And by extension, you know, I'm the alcalde of Santosu.
Of course, you know he's an alcalde. He's the alcalde of Santosu Ward in Bricam.
When we are going
he's both a king and an alcalde.
Yeah. When we are going for registration of that school, one of the standard policy, maybe it might be king, because sometimes laws are king. There is one strict standing order. If before you build schools, it has to have 100 meters away from the highway. And that is not happening now. That is sacrificing the kids. Imagine Mindau. How close Mindau school is to the highway. You know, sometimes we don't see the efforts of the police. Because there is a regulation that says that. I knew this when I was trying to register my school, Santosu Nursery School. They have to mention all these things is on question there. How far is the school from the route, from the main highway?
Now who's going to enforce that? The Ministry of Education?
The Ministry. They have an inspectorate team.
They should look into that. Maybe they can say, well, there aren't enough space, you know.
But even though, man, how many Mindau people lost their life?
Yeah, over the years, you know.
To an extension to write to the police, to help a police officer, you know, they just giving the police a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now the police officer used to be there 24 hours or 12 hours.
It's another issue. And it's not only Mindau, which has
St. Peter's.
St. Teresa's even.
Yeah. So these are all stuff that maybe an educationalist or a staff from the neighborhood are listening to this. But actually, I was able to, go through this process before I registered that school. Now that is not happening. You see nursery school just very close to the highway.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they are more vulnerable, the young ones. And their parents will
So
them.
people need to look at that. You, the parliamentarian, you need to look at that, not only the police officers on the traffic.
No, we are not picking on the police officers. Police have their stake, as the Deputy Speaker mentioned. Police have their stake. You have Ministry of Education having their stake. You have Ministry of Justice having their stake. You have Ministry of Works, and Transport having their stake. All of these stakeholders, they have their stake, when it comes to road safety in the Gambia. And the key recommendations that came out from the forum were that, one, we need the political will. We need the political will from the Gambia government to see road safety as a priority, make it a priority, and give it a priority. See it as a priority, to recognize it as a challenge, an alien menace that is affecting our country now because of the statistics of our country. We are ranked number 4 in Africa now. So that is really serious.
We are ranked number 4 in terms of road safety?
Yes, number 4 in Africa.
You mean was a road accident?
Yes, road accidents. Number 4. We are ranked number 4. So the government really needs to see road safety as an issue. We need to make it a priority when we go to parliament, when we approve budgets. We need to invest in road safety. Research has shown that $1 invested in road safety improvement will generate $8 return. So why are we not investing in our roads? We need to construct better roads with better standards. We need to construct roads for just pedestrians and cyclists, just to be able to separate them from the main traffic. Countries like Norway, Oslo, they tried something like this in 2015.
Let's talk about Rwanda, because if you talk about Norway, they will say those are very well.
Those are well advanced countries.
Yes.
But countries are taking this, assuming these best practices, and it is yielding benefit, because after that implementation in Norway, they have registered no road traffic related deaths.
Take examples from Africa, Accra, and, not Europe.
So we need to invest in our roads. We need to build more roads with better standards, and we need to also help to build the capacity and standard of our vehicle testing centers. I work with the road safety working group.
I think at this point,
I work with the road safety working group, and we had an exercise in November, in January or February. We went to vehicle testing centers, and to be quite candid with you, there is no capacity. In fact, there is no SOP for their operations. So imagine, what is that saying? You just have the the testing officer there working.
You see, the fundamental issue that will always pop up wherever you go as enforcement officers is that, how do people get license? How do you check their competence before issuing them license? Not long ago, somebody was on the media saying that the regulatory framework for issuing license should change to take into account that people are rigorously checked for competence before being issued license. Because most of these people now, getting a license means owning a vehicle. Anybody who owns a vehicle today can get a license tomorrow.
Very well.
How do you work to make sure that people don't sit at their home, call the policeman, or use some other proxies to get a license? How do you check these things to ensure that the guy is competent to drive?
Yeah, anyway, for a person to qualify to get a driver's license, you have to go to a process. The first process is the person has to go to a testing officer to be testified whether physically, mentally you are fit, medically.
That's what should be done.
That's what
is that what's been done?
Is going on.
Is that's been done?
Well, yes.
Well, are you sure it is going?
Very well, very well. I saw it. Even myself, this year before they renew or I renew my license, I went to the testing center and I was tested.
Good example.
Right? And then I don't want to talk on something out of my unit because I may not be an expert to that unit, but to the best of my knowledge, I know more than 5,000 licenses this year have been confiscated through the testing process. Because if you go there, you met the OC testing officer, the commissioner now, if he tests you and then look at your age, look at your ability,
and your comportment,
he either reduced the capacity that you hold on that license or in fact disqualified you and said go for another 3 months. That has been started this year. Right? Now, as I said, I don't want to lament more on that, but I know this is happening. Right? Even yesterday, yesterday was Friday. Yes, I was privileged, and then the transport union were having meeting with IGP on those states. He's somebody who is very concerned, and then he's very conscious about the road traffic fatality. Day in, day out, he will be calling these drivers.
How bad is the statistics now, the incidences of road accidents.
I will come there.
Okay.
That is a very burning issue in this country. According to the
Not
the
just youth parliamentarians
the
alone.
youth parliamentarians, because the data, let me last there. You've touched two areas that I want to enlighten the people.
Fantastic.
One, you were saying the police doing the corruption.
Yes. That's
Corruption
a common
under
allegation.
section 360
Of the
is
Motor
a-
Traffic Act or what?
out of the Constitution. It's a criminal act. Volume 3, Gap 10, Lost of the Gambia. It is there. Corrupt practice, both the Jifa and the taker all commit an offense. I said this at the conference. And it is a fine of not more than $10,000 or imprisonment in default, or both the fine and imprisonment. So if people are talking about corrupting a police officer, why do you corrupt a police officer? Knowing that the offense that you are accusing the police officer, you equally committing that. So let's stop pointing fingers to the police officer. Stop giving them. If you don't give it to them, they will not take it.
But there are enabling factors to that.
They can arrest
There
the
are
person who
enabling
attempt to do
factors to
it.
that.
I did it.
That's right. Equally, the police can arrest somebody who will attempt to do it.
I did it.
Okay.
I said it last time.
You arrested
I
somebody.
did it. I did it in Farafenni.
Okay.
When I was about to carry on my lawful duty, 3 people collapsed and they gathered money up to an amount of 30,000. If Magistrate Jabang is listening to me, he was the person who sat on that. And exactly, he fined the ladies, those 3 ladies, $10,000 each, and the money was forfeited and paid to the state.
So the 30,000 that should have gone to your pocket was paid to the
Yeah.
state. And they were put it-
Because
Okay.
when the rumors went on, they didn't know already. I have already arrested them, charged them for corrupting a government officer. So if everybody is doing that,
including your police in the states here.
everybody, and then including you giving to the police,
Yeah, okay, fine.
let's stop it.
Equally true.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's stop it.
Because some
Don't
people-
give it to the police, because the crime that you are accusing the police for is the same as the crime that you are committing.
So, but okay.
2, away from that, the road that you have said, the standard that you have said about the footpath, I said attitude. Every part of this country, the roadside is all occupied by these street vendors. People cannot walk on footpath.
Exactly.
And they are paying their duty.
Yeah.
If you touch them, they said, them a face my ticket. Even a paper seller who spread his, I don't know, clothes
Whatever.
or whatever on the ground.
Claim that he owns
Yes,
space.
of course, if it comes to the law, he owns it because he has paid.
But shouldn't that
Cancel
worry
stuff.
you as a traffic
Of course, it
enforcement
worried me. People that are collecting that money must stop and ask them to move there,
officer? The area councils.
so that the flow of vehicles can go.
The area council. But how do you deal with that? You walk to the mayor's office and say, look, you know, your office and the mayor's office is not far apart. You go to him, look, mayor, you have to stop encouraging these people to sell here or I kick them out.
There was a meeting that we held, including the Carnivine municipalities at the Ministry of Transport, when they raised concern about traffic blockage and so on and so. I said, you can't blame. Every Gambian can blame police about that, but the council cannot blame police about traffic obstruction.
You told that to the
Because
council?
yes, practically I told them. Because I said, you said you were coming to the meeting ground when Gimpex was pulled up. I said, look at Gimpex both sides. They have garage there.
Yeah.
Park of with this, what did they say, this commercial baggage taxi.
Mm.
And then you as municipalities, you are saying it. I'm not accusing, but we have to be bold enough and set each other the truth, and the country can able to move on.
So there are
Let the police take their responsibility. Let other institutions also take their responsibilities. Then we will move as a country. Let's see the country bigger than any of us.
Very well.
What about, because I know the youth parliamentarians must have raised the abandoning, vehicles on the highway. You know, in order, like I said, things that are unheard of in other places. That's what we've seen here. And I think this boils down to poor enforcement, if you like. Like somebody can have a breakdown right in the middle of the road and leave the vehicle there and go ahead.
For hours.
Maybe you just put up some signs there and forget it.
Yeah, as the Deputy Speaker said.
Yes.
Financial resources.
Yeah.
The two resources that the police have, we are now using it. Now, I will not mention the department, but an incident so that people know, because most of the blame is the police. There are institutions that leave its vehicle to a particular place, very sensitive area, for almost 1 year.
You should mention that institution.
The police took this vehicle and parked it under its custody for some time. And then, unfortunately, the kids went and this vehicle was vandalized. And the complaint, now they came, after 2 years, to complain.
And how do you handle that?
Yeah, we handle it at a department level. But what I'm just trying to say, the parking place for the police is what is holding us. The law is there, but to enforce this law is difficult. Just like, I'm just bringing you this sample. Now, all these cars that are selling on the highway, if I may not quote the section because I am very good in quoting sections,
I know.
but I know for certain that there is a law which says should not be more than 75 meters and not be less than 50 meters away from highway. But look at from the sitting corner, Batin Hardin and all these areas, even Serekunda Highway, on footpath, turntable, everybody is parking his car selling. Now imagine if I King Koli or the police engage on picking up those vehicles and park them to a place where they have been stolen or vandalized. How many money will the police pay?
But don't you have measures like clamping?
Do we have it? We don't.
Yeah. They don't have those.
They don't.
So that's why I said we need to start to resource, road safety in this country. We need to see it as a priority, and by doing so, we need to, build the capacity of the police to be able to, fully execute the law. That needs to be looked at.
Just look at this. Somebody's, those Gambia area, a vehicle is costing about 2-point-something million.
So if you take it, seize them, or try to enforce it, it becomes your responsibility.
Exactly.
Whatever happens, they ask you to pay.
Yeah. So,
you don't even have a place to park them.
Thank you. If I could park this to the mobile or park it to the police headquarters, somebody somewhere, a bad person, just come and steal this vehicle or steal this vehicle or damage this vehicle. Who will be responsible? It's going to be the police. So we need to get this parking area. As you said, my brother, the secretary, road traffic should be a concern not only to the government, to every citizen in this country.
Yeah, because it's safety in the first place.
You can imagine there is no disease in this country killing people like
road accidents.
That's why I said before we end up the program, give us how bad is the statistics. That is very true. We had a doctor here who said, in fact, one of the things that kept them busy in the hospital is accidents and motor traffic accidents. Yeah. It has been said all over that, in fact, motor traffic accidents are even more frequent than even aeroplanes or accidents at sea, for obvious reasons. Yeah. But part of the reason is why do we have minimal accidents in countries who obey the law?
Cham, I said, I did mention in my speech that we need to change our attitude. In 2019, the accident rate was very low here compared to 2020.
16%.
Exactly, deduction. You know why? Commissioner Mobile Traffic was issued a green card by the Inspector General of Police and its management to go on countrywide spot checking. One the Nyominkas had that King Koli is crossing.
Why did you mention the Nyominkas and not the Jarakas?
Most of the damaged vehicles, we call it disabled vehicles, were taken to the garage for maintenance and they renewed their papers. Wallahi, within that month of 2 months, we never registered any accident. And this has gone to the length and breadth of the country.
So these are best practices that could have continued.
That was the first practice.
Yes.
Our second trip The moment we cross over, they knew my presence.
Yeah.
There was a demonstration.
That you shouldn't be there. Oh,
why?
That I should not be there. It was just 2 months. Why am I be there? They called politicians. They stopped flying, the vehicles flying. People walk from Amdalai to Bara. You know, it was so hectic. Then the command, we are in a political state.
Yeah.
They have to call me and said, reduce the speed, stop it, now engage on certain things. So we must change our attitude. The whole of 2020, we didn't move anywhere. And as I said, the death rate was over far more. You can calculate it to 20 years ago. But right, you said about the data. In research, I can conduct a research on a particular topic and get my results. You conduct your research in that the same topic and then got a different results. But I am so unconfident that the records I have with me are authentic. I am not saying that they are 100% right, but they are absolute. Because one, I can tell you the vehicles involved, their registration number, their mark, their place, the time, the victim's name, the date it happened.
That's authentic. But how?
And I can go by extension again. If there are victims who died or later died, I can show you the picture.
Very thorough. Very thorough.
So I get always surprised when we have a different data. Because the clerk asked me, he said, but what about the hospital? They are the first point of it. I said, no.
They are not.
If the accident happened, the first call is the police.
Absolutely.
It's the police who will escort that victim, whether dead or injured. Even the records of every person in that particular vehicle, whether you are injured or not, we said, even whether you are treated or discharged, we have that in our records.
Yeah, follow it up.
That an accident happened, treated and discharged. Oh, nothing happens to non-injury at the spot. Oh, later treated and discharged. Oh, hospitalized. And we make sure that anybody who is hospitalized through an accident, we follow it up. Even if you die, we make sure that we follow it up.
As a victim.
Last. Today, what we are today, I'll give you an example. On Thursday, an accident happened between Jara.
Day before yesterday.
Day before yesterday. And the person didn't die. It was just last night that the person died. And I was called to say whether the post-mortem must be done. I said, no, there is no need of post-mortem.
Yeah, too bad.
Because he or she has been admitted.
Hospital.
And then hospital know the cause of death. Because the death certificate is there.
Yeah.
So you can hand over the body. So all these things are recorded. You see? So we will have our monthly returns because I will tell you the referencing that we collect our data. Like in every region we have our traffic officer there.
Exactly.
In any accident that happened in any region, you have to record it. And at the end of every month, they have to send it to the headquarters. That is to my office. Right? North Bank, we have 5, 2 deaths, non-injury, name, place, time, vehicle number, victim's name. And then this is how we do.
Oh, good, interesting.
Right? And then if you send this thing to us, then I will compile and said, West Coast, these are number of accidents, these are number of deaths, these are number of injuries, male, female, child. I'm proud that you said 5 years ago, come bit like 1.5 years I involved in an accident. And it's very common in that. Even the person who died at the Tobaski, during this feast, they are corrected. These are young as 1.5 years. They all involved in accident to 36 years old. These are the most vulnerable.
Very sad.
Yeah, young people are the most vulnerable.
Well,
right? So we are taking that record. That's why last year I did mention, and I said we have totality of 775 accidents. Out of that, we had 123 recorded with the mobile deaths, with the mobile police. We had 255 injuries. right? I can read this up here. Now, in 2000, you have 1,120. At least you have about 80 something.
84 deaths.
84 deaths.
At the panel.
Exactly. This is in my book.
So this is 7%
Right?
to 16%.
Yeah.
So
So
from
so
2000
the
to 2020,
yeah.
within 20 years, we have seen an increment of over 8% in road
Exactly.
traffic related deaths.
Why did I say that?
Yes.
Because of the attitudinal change. People need to change their attitudes.
You mentioned a very interesting thing that politicians, often interfere in the course of the job, trying, discouraging you or changing the first thing. So that's how do you deal with that? Because you're not supposed to quarrel with politicians, of course. But how do you advocate, even if it is of public glare or something? You must have a way of.
I would tell you my final year report. You see, Mr. Clark, we are very careful the way we collect.
But you are in parliament, these are parliamentarians, so you are free to...
Honorable Mr. Clark, at the end of the year, all these results of monthly returns, we compile it and make it an yearly return and send it to the office of the Inspector General.
Police. Who should take it to...
And then
Interior.
again, he will take it to the Interior.
And then to
if
Cabinet.
he done that. The Interior, if he needs the data, he will call the police that we need this. Even of recent, or the office of the president at their data level, they requested this, and this was given to them. Now we need to believe that all the figures cannot be accurate and intact, but at least we are giving you approximately, probably we have the best record, because
as I told you, I think it's quite important that this information is shared with the public.
Well, the
because
problem
advocates like us will bank on this information to be able to, advocate, for changes, for improvements. But when we don't have, access to this information, we will be blind. We'll be in blindness.
They are constrained by several protocols and regimental laws.
Exactly.
So they don't,
I told you that.
Exactly. They are constrained by so much regimental and protocols that they cannot come out with information such as this.
There is a student who was doing her master's in UK. I mean, when she wrote to find out the accident data, it's a concern to everybody. But this was sent to me, and then from our admin, and then was done, and then was sent to her. She was very happy, right? If you need information, my research, I conducted my research on PGD, that is postgraduate diploma at MDI, and then I basically specialized on road traffic accident in this country. And then I wrote a book, and then that research book, I'm not biased, it's been shared with institutions. You have it at the college, you have it at the university. Even just 2 days ago, some group of people were tasked also to do their research on that. I printed more than 30 books. All those things are gone. So, and then it was at a cost-free. So it is. I believe that definitely people like you, people like me, people like other Gambians, we should involve in the road safety to write a book about it and to advocate about it, to sensitize people. But our office is always open. As he said, we have been guided by certain protocols. You cannot, even my coming here
has to be allowed.
Approved.
Has to be allowed.
You know, it has been approved by who? My junior officer, a superintendent. I'm a commissioner. Of course, because it is his area.
Yes, his area, so regimented.
It is his area. I have to respect him, despite the fact that I'm his senior, but I have to follow up the regiment.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Lamin King Colley of Mobile Traffic Division, the Gambia. The Honorable Deputy Speaker of the National Youth Parliament of the Gambia, Ndegen Job, and the Honorable Tijan Kuyate, who is the Clerk of the National Assembly of Youth. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you very much. Of course, National Youth
Thank you so much.
Assembly. Thank you very much for your initiative, actually, which you said includes so many other things, but this one, the recent one, dealt with road safety. I drag in the commissioner so that I can extend that workshop so that he can have more answers to the frequently asked questions that people ask. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for replying to even inconvenient questions, such as allegations of corruption officials. We thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Well, this is the brunch on Kerr Fatou for this week. I'm Lamin Cham. We will be back next week. Goodbye.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
For all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.